Hello, hello, hello. Mm, Hello. Hello, is anybody here? Is anybody here? Is anybody here? Let's do it, guys. Oh my God, I hope you guys can see how tired I am. Um, Come on. We are talking about mental health today, talking about mental health as it pertains to childhood cancer. We are exploring. Oh, look at who's early. Hi, sis. Welcome. Hello. So happy to see you. How's my graduate? How's my graduate? Hello. Yeah, it's happening. Come on, guys. Hi, sis. How was church today? So tomorrow is Memorial Day here in the United States. So today at church, there was quite a mention of that. Uh, is a day where we remember veterans and those who lost themselves at wars to preserve the freedom of the United States. And so, yeah, say hi to my graduates for me. My middle schooler, rising middle schooler, and the soon to be freshman. Send my love to both of them. Tell them I love them so much. I'm going to see them soon. Soon, sometime this week. But yeah, happy to be here. Yes, you're early today. I'm happy to see you in here today so early. I'm so excited to see you today. If you're here and viewing, just say hello in the chat. Yes, good evening, Queen. Just so everybody knows, for those in Nigeria, if you have any question concerning updates on the upcoming events, please feel free to text our assistant, ACF assistant, and find out whatever information you need. We've got a couple people sent messages asking about payments. Payment from Nigeria is made into the foundation account. It's 10,000 naira, and you have to indicate your location so we know where you are running from, and we can send you your t-shirt when it's time. Hello, how are you? Welcome. How are my boys doing? Good to have you here. Like I said today, it's going to be a very she said that's me, ACF assistant. Yeah, that's her, ACF assistant. She's the one doing this work, keeping things coordinated for us for the meantime while we get organized. So glad to have Eric. Do you guys see that my nail color matches my top? I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Anyway, so glad to have everybody here today. We are going to have a very quick session. Hi, Katie. Welcome. Welcome. I was so happy to see my Canada people step out today. It's a section of our Canada volunteers and supporters step out today in their Run for Nemo t-shirts from last year. I'm like, yes, that's what we are talking about. This is how you go out in the community and make yourself known. I'm so excited to see that. I'm excited to see what comes out of that. They've been doing a great job, and we are looking forward to see them on their own. So while I am on that, I would like to say that next Sunday we will be getting updates from several locations, because next Sunday would make it so today makes it 3 weeks to Run for Nemo 2025. So that means by next Sunday is going to be 2 weeks to the event, and so we are going to have updates from coordinators from different locations coming on to tell us their routes, how to join, where they would meet up, and things like that. So get ready. That's what next Sunday is going to be about, and then we are working on getting that coordinated. But today we wanted to talk about mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We've been following closely, we've been attending several seminars and workshops that has to do with mental illness and childhood cancer. And part of what we, I mean, a big part of what we do is advocacy. And so this is opportunity to pass this information across to our volunteers so that as we are dealing with these issues and with parents and children, we have an idea what we are dealing with. Um, First of all, from a very personal point of view, you know, as a mom whose child has had cancer, and it's very different while you are in treatment and post treatment, whatever post treatment looks like for you. I've had conversations with parents whose kids are survivors, and it's a different kind of mental issues that they're dealing with. I've had conversations with actual survivors themselves, and it's a different type of issues that they are dealing with. Everybody's dealing with this differently, depending on where they are in their childhood cancer journey. But you can just imagine, you know, starting from the process of being told that your child has cancer, or that depending on the age that you have cancer. There is nobody, even if you are 90 years old, that would get that news that it wouldn't totally devastate you. It is not a news that anybody wants to get at any point in their life, at any age that they are. So to have that in a family, as a child, as a minor, or as a young adult, this can be very difficult. In our experience, um, the very first reaction is disbelief. You're like, what are you talking about? What is this thing you're saying? It wouldn't even make sense, you know, to say, oh, they found a tumor, or say, if it's a blood cancer, they say, oh, it looks like the numbers are indicating maybe like a leukemia, or whatever, however that news is told to you. And no matter the care that the providers, healthcare providers, take while trying to pass this information across, the first reaction is most likely going to be shock, because you're like, how? What are you talking about? Why? Hi, Foro, welcome. Thanks for joining. Uh, how this is possible? What's going on? And then you begin to wonder about the issues of, what did I do wrong? How did we get here? What are they? How do we even navigate this? And then you begin your journey. And at every stage of that journey, it is different. But the reality is that it takes a toll. It takes a toll on the child. It takes a toll on the parents, the caregivers, the family members who are anxiously waiting for a piece of good news. And it takes a toll on the entire family, the siblings, and the more aspects of life that the family has to navigate, the worse that toll gets. When you're talking about, if you are, for instance, in a high resource area, and you are in a low resource area, and now things are getting complicated, because you are talking about a situation where you can have access to things that can help cushion the effects of this diagnosis that you just got, or you are where this is not the case. It's just not the case. You can't have access to anything. You have to pay for everything out of pocket. Sometimes there are services you cannot even access because they are not available. And so this is reality, and we are looking at the toll that can take. For instance, if you are a parent, or if you are an auntie or an uncle, and you are in a resource area where you get news, and there's really nothing that you can do. How do you navigate that? How do you come to terms with that? How, that feeling of helplessness, how do you navigate that to still try to keep your child strong, to keep fighting, or to keep pushing together as a family? This is not a conversation that we can have in 30 minutes that we have. And so what we're just going to try to do is give us an opportunity to look inwards and figure out ways that we can support and how we can use our human empathy to in our relationship with these people when we come across them, in our relationship with cancer patients and their families, in how we treat them, that human understanding of, you cannot possibly fathom what these people are going through, and so how can we support them? What can we do to help? Because it is a lot. Yes, okay, it's a lot, because as a mother or as a father, as an auntie, as an uncle, this is a child that you love. And sometimes the child is so little that they barely understand what's going on. They just know they're in the hospital a lot. And sometimes the child is old enough to actually understand what's going on. And that gets more complicated. What are the services that you can access for this child? What are the things that you can get this child to do? The more aware the child is of what's happening, the fear of death, imminent death, it's demoralizing. And so these are the things that it's not a one size fit all, because this thing can happen to anybody. The whole spectrum. We've talked about it before. If you are from a child in a belly to 100 and something, anybody can develop cancer at any time. And so if you are talking about a child that's maybe a baby, a toddler, barely understands, it's a different kind of arrangement that goes on trying to get that child settled. And now, no more, the anxiety is more on the parents and the family. And then if you're now talking about a child that's more aware, so now you're not just dealing with the parents and the family, you're also dealing with the child, the children themselves, the child themselves. What can we do to help this child? And how can we answer this child's questions, and how can we help this child through this process, the different processes that comes with this thing. So let's start with what we don't see. When for a place like the United States, for survivors, because we like to talk about survivors, because that is the goal. The goal is to survive cancer. For every child that gets diagnosed, I mean, it's not realistic to say that it's going to be a world without cancer. Is not realistic. But if you look at our vision as an organization, our vision says we are envisioning a world where no child dies from cancer. And that means that what we want, what we envision, what we are working towards is a world where every child survives. But what does survival look like? And what kind of survival is it going to be? What is going to be the quality of life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and for this child that's surviving this disease? And so in the United States, 1 in 3 childhood cancer survivor is diagnosed with anxiety and or depression. So those statistics, if you know any statistics about the United States when it has to do with cancer, you should know, because we talk about this all the time. 85% of children diagnosed in the United States get on to get cured, and 1 out of 3 for that 85% is going to get diagnosed with that anxiety and depression, because at the end of the day, there is a lot going on inside that child that they cannot speak out. And so the availability of resources, to help them. And it's pretty, I mean, there's still so much that can be done, but there's access to psychologists to speak to the child. I can tell you from a personal example. When we first got here and Akanemo was in the hospital, we had gotten a diagnosis. We had talked to us about giving him chemotherapy, and they're about to start. But we noticed that he was really down. He was really feeling he didn't want to talk to anybody. He wasn't, his countenance, it was obvious. And his doctor kept saying, there's something wrong. This is not just medical, there's something wrong. And then she called onto the psychologist and said, I'm going to get someone to come, have a conversation with him. And then this person comes in and sits with him. They have this conversation. We left just the two of them. Every other person was out of the room. They were talking. An hour or so, almost 2 hours later, she comes out and takes us and the doctor into the room and tells us, you know, there were things that Akanemo was worried about. Bear in mind, Akanemo at this time, he's 10, right? There were things that he was worried about. So he was aware. At 10 years old, he's aware that he's ill. He's aware, of course, he's feeling the pains and everything. And he had heard this information about chemotherapy that told him of the side effects, possible side effects of this chemotherapy. And one of the side effects of this chemotherapy was going to be hair loss. Bear in mind, at this time, him and his father, they were doing this Afro challenge. They were kind of like, see who is going to keep the biggest Afro by a particular time. And so they started keeping their Afro. And then all of a sudden, this thing strikes and it's like, okay, your hair, one of the side effects of this chemo is that your hair is going to fall off. All your hair is going to fall off. And we didn't know that he was really uncomfortable with this, because in us, all we are saying is, oh my God, he's getting the treatment that he needs, so that he can be okay. And that's where we are as parents. But to this child, he's worried that his hair is going to fall off. And so, and then the second thing, the first thing they actually said was, he wants his sister. He wants his sister here. He doesn't feel like going on. He doesn't feel like doing anything. He doesn't want to talk about anybody. He misses his sister and he wants her. And that was the number one thing. And we were stuck in a position where we were like, well, how do we fix this? What can we do about this? What are the steps that we can take to make this happen? And then so there were those two things that he talked about, and that he was able to express that to get us to that point where we can do something about it. So the second one with the hair, Dad was able to go in, sit with him, talk about it, and really just, encourage him about the hair is going to grow back. Don't worry about it. I see why you should be worried and all that. But you know what the father also did? Because we talked about it, and because I told him, I said, okay, Mama is going to go cut her hair. It's not a big deal. I can show you that it's going to grow back. I will go. I was like, no, Mommy, don't cut your hair. Mommy, don't cut your hair. And then we just sitting down, and then my husband walks in, and he had barbed his entire hair off. And I just saw his eyes were large, and he was like, oh, Daddy, and that changed everything. And so saying that to say that it is important to have access to these resources. A psychologist to talk to your child when needed, because they have the skill to get these children to really open up and talk to them without blame, without judgment, and then they have a way of clarifying things for them and just bring a lot of clarity to the whole situation, because that was our experience. We had that. But it was beautiful that we had that, but it's also not possible in a lot of places. It is not possible. As I'm speaking to you in Nigeria, for a fact, I know that this is not possible. But that is the future that we are working towards. This is the essence of the whole thing that we are doing, because healthcare is supposed to be holistic, just to attend to every part of the person, from physically, spiritually, emotionally. We have a long way. Yes, we really, really have a long way to go. And these are the things that we are putting our energy towards, because when you see this kind of thing and you see the effects that it has on the child, and it gives that child that strength to fight, you want this for every other child out there. You want it for every other child out there, because we were over there and we never got this, and now we're here and we got this. We're like, this is so much better. Who wouldn't want this? And so this is part of the work that we are doing. And this is what we want everyone to learn, because we want you to know that the part of this work as advocates, if you ever find yourself in this space and that these are the things that are needed, we start these conversations and we can slowly and slowly build on these things for the future. So when it comes to PTSD, 40% of survivors are diagnosed with PTSD. And this research is from St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. 40% diagnosed with PTSD. And this means that there are things that are triggering in your daily life, taking you back to when you were in treatment. There was a time, some time ago, that we talked. We had Kiara on the platform. We posted a video of our interview with her, and she's a survivor, and she was talking about what she, how it's triggering for her. Some things that are triggering for her. Sometimes are like daily one-on-one things that she's always done, and then, or maybe she's in a house and she comes across something that she used during treatment, or it could be something as simple as maybe a bandage, or any medical equipment or something like that. And so this still means that we need more professionals in this field to work with these kids, to work with them through adulthood, at least as young adults, to make sure that these triggers are dealt with and they're able to, transition into life the way they should be. So Catherine says, it makes me wonder why there are no professionals in these aspects, seeing that many school churn out psychology graduates every year. It makes me wonder too. Most times, to practice as a psychologist, you would need to go and have a master's, and then specialize in some way. But also in some cultures, it's just that there's no realization of the importance of this aspect of care, because in low and middle income countries like Nigeria, those services are non-existent. Those services are really non-existent. Like here in the United States, they have people called child life specialists. They work with the child through treatment. They work with the child when the child comes to clinic. There is play therapy. They have games. They talk to the child through all the numerous pokes. Oh, this is what they're going to do today. They come. They explain procedure. There are so many aspects of care that we don't we are in Nigeria, we're not even there yet. But these are the things that we should look into to provide, even at the most basic level, because cancer, it's not something that we should just look at one part of it, the physical part. And so what I also have is that the mental toll on the family. There's the fear, there's the anxiety. There's actually a term called scanxiety, that parents and families feel when a child is about to go in for scans. Because bear in mind, while you are in treatment, you can have the need to do scans at any time. You can be just going, okay, let me say you do chemo for this. Oh, after the third round of chemo, we have to scan to see if the tumor has progressed, or if the tumor is stagnant, or if the tumor has, shrunk. This is all to be able to see if the chemo agent is working, so that if it's not working, we can't just say, oh, we are going to give you 6 rounds of chemo and you keep taking it and we don't know if it's working. So after like 3 4 rounds, they'll do a scan to see if it has any effect on the tumor. And depending on the effect, they will know whether to switch up the chemo agent or not. And so in this case, this child, if just telling you that, oh, we are going for CT or we are going for MRI, you can be immobilized with fear as a mother, as a father, as a family. And so for us, what we mainly did was keep that information between myself and my husband, because we didn't want to panic the entire family and have people texting us and calling us, because this is their child and they love him. And they're like, what was the result of this? So we're like, okay, we're going to just keep this info. Afterwards, we will tell, because they were praying along with us and everything, and we want them to know. And so afterwards, we'll be like, okay, this was the result of the scan. This is because now we have an actual story to tell, something to tell them, and not have everybody. But we have to deal with that. We are still dealing with that fear. We are still dealing with that anxiety while waiting for that scan, or while waiting for that result. How about isolation? People don't understand cancer. And so sometimes nobody wants to deal with you, especially in so many low resource countries, that once they hear the word cancer, is like, oh, your child cannot get cancer from another child. It's not communicable. It's a non-communicable disease. So chill, it's not juju. So you're not getting my bad luck. Some people think that is it. And so there's that isolation. They don't want to engage. They don't want to be your friends again. Your child doesn't have his friends from school anymore because he's had to be out of school for a certain period of time, but to go get treatment. And now all his friends have moved on, and that child has to deal with that too. And you, as a parent, has to deal with that child dealing with that. And so this is complicated. This is really, really complicated. How about disfigurement? Your child can become disabled from being in treatment. True story. You know, for everyone that knows a Kanimore, before and after, you know, or before and during in his case, you know that this did not look like the same child at all. This didn't look like the same child at all. He had the neuropathy from tumor burden and chemotherapy. He had to have shoe braces to even be able to stand. He couldn't walk. He had to be in a wheelchair for long periods of time. He had to be on physical therapy. This is a child that was a soccer player, a tennis player, taekwondo, swimming, everything. And all of a sudden he's able to do those things. He's not just able to do those things, he's disfigured physically. And so that brings up emotions of him, maybe not even being able to look at himself in the mirror because he doesn't look the same. He doesn't like himself. And you have to deal with those emotions that come with that. It takes a toll on the child and it takes a toll on the family because you look at your child and you want to cry. How do you deal with that? So there's a lot that we can talk about, but there's limited access to psychologists, limited access to psychologists in most parts of the world. And so we need to look at the reasons why we need psychologists in the childhood cancer space. We need a lot more psychologists in the childhood cancer space because these are people that are going through the worst thing that can ever happen to them as a family. And this is when they need the support, the professional support to go through. And mental health, it can also our mental health can get better with spiritual support too. And I'm saying this coming from a place as a Christian. Your belief can play a lot in how you hold yourself together, how you keep fighting, how you keep pushing on, and the people who support you to do so. For the parents, you have the guilt, you have the exhaustion, you have the anticipatory grief, because every time you get a little bit of good news, it's like you're taking a step towards life. A little bit of bad news is like you're taking a step towards death. And so at every point in time, you don't know what the step what step are you taking, to the right or to the left. You literally do not know. You are looking at your child eating and you're just sitting and looking at that child and you're like, I don't know if the tumor is growing inside you right now. And for me, like personally, I felt like I have been in a situation where I've literally watched my son watch tumor grow inside him within days. And I was just shocked and I couldn't say anything. I'm like, you know, and I literally didn't, because it seemed unreal. It seemed like if it said this kind of thing to someone would say, "What are you talking about?" And so as a parent, you first of all bear the guilt of, oh, is there something I could have done differently for this child not to get this? Is there something that I did that made him get this? And then there is the exhaustion. There is no time off. You are constantly on. You are constantly on. You cannot sleep. And then there is, like I said, a little step to the right, a little step to the left. And then sometimes in treatment, especially when the child has relapsed, you literally have to decide. The doctors will tell you, we have this medicine and we have this medicine. Which one are you picking? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know. What do I do? Because you can only give one drug at a time. And I'm going to piggyback off of that to say that there is a bill in the United States Congress which is supposed to go to change that, to make it possible for children in clinical trials or children with relapsed cancer to get combination therapies, which is supposed to be more effective. This is what adults get, and children don't get that. And so this child you're going to pick one medicine, and this child is going to be on one medicine. And like I said, you would have to have 2-3 rounds of that medicine, which is probably going to take like 2 months. 2 3 months maybe to figure out, is that medicine working? And then within that time, if that medicine isn't working, what do you think is happening? What do you think is happening? The cancer is doing what the cancer does. That means it's taking over the body. And so you racked with guilt, like, should I have taken the other option? These are not decisions that you should have to make. And these are things that you have to unpack. These are things that your issues that you have to unpack, in therapy or with a psychologist, and or in some way with your friends who are able to give you some validation and support you with love, emotionally. So it's a lot. It's a lot that a parent goes through when their child is going through cancer. And and then we go to the forgotten, the siblings. We go to the siblings. What do you think happens when a child is diagnosed with cancer and that child has a brother or a sister, or more than one brother or sister? Again, personal opinion, our personal experience, because no matter how much, you know you want to say, you can't possibly care for both of them the same way at that time, because one person, the sick child, needs the attention at that time. And so now you are struggling, you are racked with guilt with this one, and you are still racked with guilt, and you're not giving enough time to this other child. Or no matter how much you try, it's not just possible. That child gets to spend, anytime they're not in school, they're in the hospital, they're sleeping overnight in the hospital, because that is the only thing that's going to work. They are not able to do extracurricular activities because nobody to take them there. There's no time. So they have to be in the hospital where you can watch them. So this is, I don't know. Bear in mind, the child might also be feeling invisible. They don't feel seen. They don't feel like they're getting the care and attention that they need. And so it might lead to that child acting out and misbehaving and things like that. They need the support and the attention. And this is where the family support, comes in. That child could also be harboring guilt. I've told you, there are things that a child would say, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, that's heartbreaking. I didn't know you were carrying that inside you. You didn't do anything for your brother to fall ill. You didn't do anything. There is nothing that you possibly. This is not how this works." And so, but if you are not in a position where that child gets to express that to you, then you don't know. And so it is important even for the siblings to get psychological support, to get a therapist, to get counseling, because there is, just as an adult, you have voices in your head telling you, oh, you are the reason things are going bad. It's happening to those kids too, and you never think it because they're not telling you. But sometimes an outside person might be best for them to express themselves, and they'll be able to do so. And how about anxiety? Just because their sibling is ill, sometimes the other child of children, they are old enough to understand what's going on, and they know that the possibility of the end stage, they know, and they carry it with them. And you know it took us moving from New York to where we are now. And one day I'm just talking to my daughter, and she says, you know I think we was watching something on the television, and there was a siren, the sound. Ooh, and she expressed to me that she used to feel the anxiety when she was in school, when Akanema was in treatment. She would go off to school sometimes if Akanema is home where we were staying. And if she hears a siren, she would think, oh my God, is that our house the siren is going to? Is something wrong with Akanemo? She's carrying all of this within her, and we didn't know this. And so she would be so afraid. And once she gets up to school, she would text me. And so all that while that she was texting, I say, Mama, 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 like, how are you? How are you? How is Academo? Has he eaten? She was just trying to cover, to have me tell her that, oh yeah, Academo is fine. Oh yeah, Academo is maybe downstairs with his teacher or something. Or maybe, oh, we are in clinic. We are not home or something. And so they carry all these things with them, and you don't know. And so if in conversations we include the siblings, because they carry a lot of the weight too. And also, they are the ones that are much, the relationship with this between siblings is so much different from like parents to child. And so, and there is this expectation that if you have a sibling, you expect that person is going with you through life. And the possibility that that is not going to be the case, it's already causing a lot of anxiety. And then how much more when it actually happens. And so we need a lot of psychological care, not just during treatment or not just during diagnosis, but also during treatment and post treatment, whether it's survivorship or whether the child has been tragically lost to cancer. How do we support the families? Because most times once we are post treatment and now you are just kind of like left on your own to figure out, what to do with life, whether the child has survived. Oh, you're alive now. Oh, glory, you are fine. No. Or on the other hand, tragically, the child tragically passed away and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And it's a year now, and the expectation is that, oh, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, or maybe in our case, it's been 5 years, and you're fine. So these are things that we never expect. So these are things that I have heard in personal conversations. I have my own personal experience. I've heard in personal conversations with, you know, everyone on the spectrum from one end to the other. And these are conversations that need to continue. So what can we do? We have to advocate. We have to advocate for holistic healthcare. We have to advocate for holistic healthcare because healthcare cannot just be focused on fixing the physical. Yes, we are interested in the cancer going away, but now that it's gone, how do we deal with the rest of the repercussion of it on what it's left behind? Because it's going to go away one way or the other. It's going to go away one way or the other. If you know, you know. But how do you deal with what is it's left behind? And that is the point of this. Psychological care should go with you through treatment, dealing with everything that this family is dealing with until they are able to, you know, be be whole in some way and be able to navigate life by themselves. So hospitals over here in the United States typically would provide some sort of psychological care, and they have so many things that are integrated into treatment that makes treatment, just find a way to improve the quality of life for the child and for the family, and just make it easier. Sometimes little playful, nice thing, and sometimes it's the actual therapeutic care that you need professionally. Art therapy, pet therapy. I remember when they would bring dogs on Saturdays to come hang out with the kids. There will be, counseling of some sorts, or someone can just say, oh, I have a horse farm. You're going to go hang out do a weekend thing at the horse farm, or go goat petting. And, just to get these children into nature and get them to have fun. And we also have like celebrities. They dedicate their time to come meet with these kids and provide a highlight for their life. Again, understand, we don't know how this is going to end. And so for some children, like Akanimo, those were the highlights of their lives. Those were the best things. I can tell you, Akanimo got to meet, from Kevin Hart to Spider-Man, the Spider-Man guy, to I can't list it. So many celebrities, things that never would have happened to me in my life, and he was able to experience that, because of the space that he was in. And this is not the reality for a lot of kids all over the world. And so this is also a challenge for us in our locality, that to figure out how we can improve this care for kids. And this is the reason that we, as a Kanemo Cancer Foundation, we did the New Year party for the kids, for the cancer kids in the hospital. First ever, never before done. And we did it, you know, just to bring that joy to their life, because we understand that these kids, this may be the highlight of their lives. And truly, that turned out to be the case for a couple of those kids that were there at that event 2 years ago. So these are the things that we are trying to inculcate into our culture, to make it a part. Because you are suffering, physically, through a sickness, it does not mean that this person should be abandoned. Yes, make money available for treatment, but let's find other ways to make life easier for them. Mental health is important. Mental health matters. And this is not just a cliche. People like to say, my mental health matters. No, my mental health matters. My mental health matters. But this is real. It does matter. It does matter. When you first give up here, then it's over. I can tell you, for instance, like when we got the diagnosis for Akanimo, with how it was looking, which we were not supposed to have more than 6 months, with how it was looking. But because we rallied and we stood strong and we had resources to pull on, both familial resources and friends, both, emotional resources and psychosocial resources, these we were able to go on, and we got 2 years and 2 months out of it until it was his physical body that could no longer take it, but his mind was still strong. I know. That is why I would tell people, I said, I know my baby would never leave me, left to him. He knows he's his mama's child. He will still be here because he wouldn't want me to, suffer like this. I know for a fact. It's just his body couldn't take it anymore. So, saying all this to say it is important, mental health is important, and let's start, thinking of how we can do the little we can in our own small way to make it work for these kids and their families, to put a little joy in their lives while they are alive, and not just focus on one aspect of care. And I could talk about this for 2 hours. So I'm just gonna round up by saying that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I just wanted to make sure that we end on this note so that we know that this is important. I know that, as Nigerians, we are strong people. We don't like to do like it, but this is the reality. It's hard. It's hard for people all over the world when they go through a difficult time. We need to rally around people physically, financially, emotionally, to help them through. And that is what the Academic Cancer Foundation is for. Now, moving on to what? I'm just going to take a couple minutes to talk about Run for Nemo, because that is what the point we are in. Run for Nemo 2025. I want to reiterate once again. Thank you, my friends. A very interesting educative session. Thank you so much. Next time, I'm going to bring I was actually in talks with her, but she's away at a conference this weekend, and so she wasn't able to make it. A mental health specialist, a pediatric mental health specialist, to come talk to us about that. But I just wanted to share from my own personal point of view what I've experienced being a part of these sessions, and what I've experienced personally in my own personal life, and how we've been able to get to this point. It's an ongoing thing; it never ends. So thank you guys for the validation. I love it. But anyways, who's ready for Run for Nemo 2025? Who is ready for Run for Nemo 2025? Because I am. I've been ready. I've been ready. I've been ready. So, where are you running? Where's your location? Put your location in the chat. Put your location. I want to see how worldwide we are. If you are on here and you are running Run for Nemo 2025, tell me where you're running. Tell me where. Tell me where. Need water. Tell me where you're running. Where are you running? Where are you taking? Or if you're walking, where are you walking? Give me your location. If you are ready, yes! Greer, South Carolina on the world map. Tell me where you're running Run for Nemo 2025, because it's here. It's in 3 weeks. Is it by the third Sunday we'll be here doing a recap of how the day before went, how Run for Nemo went in our location. So tell me where you're going to be running. Tell me what part of the world you are in. Canada is ready. Yes, that's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Canada. You're amazing. So we have the United States, we have Canada. Let's see who else is there. Who else is running? Where else is on the map for Run for Nemo? Come on, guys. Let me know who else is running. Let me know who else is running because we are ready. June 14, 2025, we have Run for Nemo 2025. And yeah, Udema Abba says, I'm running from Lagos State. Lagos State is Nigeria. So he's running from Lagos State, Nigeria. That's amazing. So now we have two continents represented, two continents, three countries so far. Hopefully we have more continents. Hopefully we have, last year we have Europe, we have South Asia. So let's see. There's still time. Maybe they're not on the chart anymore. But keep telling me where you are. Are you in Lagos? Are you in Abuja? Are you in Uyo? Wherever you're going to be running from. But if you are in Lagos, please get in touch with the coordinator. Let her know. If you've paid, your payment is made to the foundation account, and then we'll put the money together, or the t-shirts together, and deliver pay location. And I'm going to have some news for you by next week, Sunday, on that. So please watch out, but do whatever you can. This week is the last week. If you're in the United States or Canada, this week is the last week that you can, or the UK, this week is the last week that you can order the t-shirts. By Sunday next week, it's most likely that the t-shirt is going to come down. The t-shirt website is going to come down because they won't be able to deliver before the event. We have 3 weeks now, so 2 weeks to the event. You might not be able to order again. We want to ensure that you get your t-shirt upon ordering, so that website may come down. But other than that, don't let not having a t-shirt bar you from participating. This is more than a t-shirt. This is representation. This is more than a t-shirt. This is you going out and showing people that you identify with what we are trying to do, with this work, that you identify in it. So whether or not you have a t-shirt, we need to come out on June 14. We need to do this for Nemo. We need to do this for him. You know, he was always out for other people. And so you need to be out for him. And we're not just doing this for him, we are doing this for every child in the world, everywhere, every family that is battling cancer in their child. So this is not just about him. This is for the kids of the world. This is for survivors. This is for those that we have lost. And this is also for those in the battle. We are spotlighting childhood cancer research because we love science. We love science over here. And we know that science is how we win. Science is how we win this battle. Science is how we figure out what cancer, the different types of cancer, what's going on, how do we deal with it in these kids. This is how we do it. Science research is also how we figure out how best to do our awareness, our advocacy. Everything is research. Everything is research. We cannot, have the data to work with if we do not have the research to back it up. We only get the data from the research. And so we need to be out there. June 14, guys. June 14. And remember, the hashtag is Run for Nemo 2025. Hashtag every post, hashtag every video. If you don't hashtag it, the algorithm is not going to recognize your post. So remember, you hashtag Run for Nemo 2025, you hashtag Academic Cancer Foundation. Those two hashtags must be in every post that you make pertaining to this event. Hashtag Run for Nemo 2025, hashtag Academic Cancer Foundation. And that is it, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. It was just a pleasure to be here. Please, as usual, continue to like and share this Facebook Live to all your platforms, all your groups. Just share it everywhere. Please, 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 please encourage everybody with or without t-shirt. T-shirt should not stop people from coming out. This is more than a t-shirt. This is not a t-shirt movement. It's not. Like I said, by next week, you're not able to order t-shirts anymore. So whether or not if you can afford it, please do. If you can afford it, please do, because that is you supporting the work. But if you cannot, please come out. We really more we need your presence more than you're wearing the t-shirt. You wearing the t-shirt doesn't really matter that much. It is you coming out to support the movement that matters. And this goes to all locations all over the world. Please come out. Go on your 5K, run or walk. Take a photo or a video. Hashtag it, Run for Nemo 2025. Hashtag is Academic Cancer Foundation. Those two hashtags must be. You can add any other hashtag. I like to add support childhood cancer research. I like to add because children get cancer too. But those two, Run for Nemo 2025 and Academic Cancer Foundation, must be on all your posts. Yes, come out en masse. Bring all your entire church group, youth fellowships, scientific bodies, whoever you know, your groups, your friends, everybody hang out, just get together. It's a beautiful Saturday morning and do this and take a picture and post it and hashtag. Every photo that we are tagged in, we would just approve the tag to show up on our Facebook page. That's how this is going to be. And then we would also take those photos to the website page for this event. So that's how this is going to be. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys so much for hanging out with me over here on this beautiful Saturday. As you know that we're going to repurpose this and post it throughout the week. So let's keep doing the work. We are doing amazing. I love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.